Let's dive deeper into terms, all right? So when you're structuring these deals, let's just say, let's skip past the dialogue because I can go into another video about the dialogue that you would need to have or your realtor or broker would need to have to start that conversation on owner finance, seller financing. That's a whole different video, right? But what you need to understand before you start having that talk is you want to understand how to structure these types of deals, okay? Here are some terms. When we talk about terms, I don't mean vocabulary words. I mean, terms are, what are the terms and conditions of this agreement? What are we agreeing to on an owner finance? When we're talking about interest rates, a lot of people are like, what should I say that I can afford? Like, especially if the seller is not presenting it and you as the buyer is presenting it, then you have the opportunity to basically, come up with your own terms. All right. So right now, this video is in fall of 2022. So interest rates can be anywhere whenever you're viewing this. But typically, so right now, interest rates, if you have above like a 720, 700 credit score, right now they're 6.99% around about. Now that can change on a week's notice or in a month's notice, okay? So typically when you're doing these type of deals, the thing about it is sometimes you could go up to that, but the reason why you're not able to get your DTI is because usually the interest rates based on what they're asking and where your payments will be means that it's too costly, right? So when we're looking at that, some savvy owners will probably want more because they're taking more of a risk, right? So they may want to do like a 1.25% more. So they may want to go up to like 8.25, right? In interest rates. But if it was me and I was the buyer, I'm always going to go on the low end. I want to go on where interest rates were great for me, right? I want to offer, maybe a 2.75 interest rate. Because if they do that, then you can also consider looking at a bigger down payment if they go with a lower interest rate. If they want a higher interest rate, then we'll have to adjust our down payment and save some of our cash, right? So this is some of the ways that you can play with the interest rate. Just how the interest rates work. Obviously, the more the interest rate, the higher the payment, right? So if interest rates are up, payments are up. So the higher the interest rates, the higher the payments, and especially over time, okay? So that is what the interest rates are. So if you're trying to figure out what your payments need to be, the first thing you need to look at is your interest rate. Now, if you can't adjust your interest rate down anymore to get it lower, then you want to adjust the price of the house, right? Or you want to extend it out. So the other part of it is, how long do you want to keep it? What's the term, right? Are you going to do 15-year, 30-year, or, I've seen some, not a lot, but I've heard of some being 50-year. A lot of commercial stuff is 50-year. And what this means is amortize, right? So how are we going to amortize it? That means what are the payments over a certain period of time? So if we're buying a car, in cars you have an option. You can do a 24-month, you can do a 36-month, 50 months, 72, 60 month. So and although what happens with that is the longer you go out, the longer you want to borrow this and pay this money over time. Guess what's going to happen? Your interest rate is going to go up. So when you're looking at how you create a structure, the longer you go out, the more than likely your interest rates are going to go up, or they're going to request that they go up. Are 50 years for commercial only? No. There are some situations where people are getting into homes where they are not with seller financing for over 50 years. The thing about it is, and I can show you how the sellers can protect it, because if either one of you, the buyer or the seller, comes to their demise, you can still put that agreement in what they call a trust. And so that trust will still pay out on that, okay? So when you amortize it, you can do a 15-year, 30-year, and a 50-year. Now, obviously, the more you go, as you go down in payments, your payment will be higher, right? So usually if your payment is higher in 15 years, you're going to want to work out a lower interest rate. So those are some ways that you can figure it out. There are a lot of calculators. I built out a calculator. And if you guys want that calculator, I've never posted it or anything. I'll give it to you for free. Just send me a text to my number is 205-274-8447. Look at my bio. That's my number, my text number. Text me calculator and I'll send it over to you guys. And you can use that mortgage calculator to figure out what the payments will look like. And so when we're talking about interest rates and then we talk about terms, right? The other part of it is going to be what your, so we talked about down payment as well. So down payment plays a part in it. So the other thing is if you want to get your payments lower, obviously you pay more down, but can I be honest with you? The more you pay down, it doesn't change your payments that much. The thing that's really going to drive what your payments are is going to be your interest rates and how long you have it amortized over. So if you can't figure those out, then the last resort would, I would say, add more down payment to it, but it will only drop depending on how much you want to add. Like going from 15 to 20% doesn't change your payments that much. So if you're able to keep on hold to your liquid cash, I would say start with a lower down payment and try to figure out a lower interest rate versus a higher payment to get your payments at a monthly that you want to be at. So you have your down payment. These are these are the really core parts of what makes up a loan payment, right? A loan structure. So down payment, interest rates, and then how long is it amortized? All right, those are the main things. And then your next one would be your balloons. So balloon payments, it really depends. You don't have to use this structure. It's just another option. If for some reason the owner wants a guarantee, right, that they will get paid over a certain period of time, even though it's going to still be amortized over 15 to 30 year or 50 year payment structures, they still want their full balance at a set amount of time. They don't want to wait until the full thing pays out, right? So you can do typically how I structure it is 3, 5, 10, 3, 5, 7, or 10 year increments where there's a balloon payment. And what that means that let's just say you're in a 36 month, which is a 3 year. You pay that last payment, but then also in that same time, you call the loan due, meaning you pay the principal plus the interest, and you pay the interest that is amortized over whatever your terms were. So it's not the interest that you paid up until that point. You pay all the interest that was due in that 30 to 50 year time frame or 15 year time frame. You pay that plus the principal due. So you pay the full balance that was owed to the owner. After you subtract obviously the first 36 years, you pay the rest of that, basically the rest of it as if it was in the future. You pay that in the present. I hope that makes sense. So those are what a deal is made up on. So here's a question for you. Is it better to put down less money with a better interest rate? Yeah. I mean, yeah, if you already have if you put down less money with a better interest rate, and your payment still works, then you can do that. But they're basically counter offering you on what the interest rate is because they want more money monthly, then you can always offer to pay more down payment. So at least they know they have more money in their pocket now if you offer them a better interest rate over time. Because especially if you're speaking in an investor, right? For investors, we look at things differently. A lot of times, to put cash and stuff, we want to know how hard our cash can work for us. So if we can get into a really great deal for $30,000 up front, we don't mind what the payments look like on the back end as long as we are cash flowing positively. And so if you can structure it where you can pay the most down payment to get the lesser interest rate, I would say that's a better deal because now you're able to cash flow over time because you have a lower payment. Yes, with good credit. But again, with seller financing, unless they have created their own set of qualifications. You can have horrible credit to get owner financing because the approval is based on the owner and the owner seller themselves. Now they can request for you to look into your credit report, and they may see things that they just don't want to deal with. But when you're doing this, money usually talks. So if you have the cash and you can pay it, then usually that's all the approval process. There's no underwriting in this scenario. So that is what the breakdown of what owner financing, what just general with the deal structure. Now I can get into it a little more. So most lenders, they'll ask for you to pay certain points and things of that nature. A lot of the times that's out of the window because sellers and owners, they don't need you to pay additional points. There's no additional fees that's associated with lending the money, is because they get all the down payment themselves. So there's usually no points associated with it. But if you want to get real savvy with it, you can add a point onto it as well. So that is what the deal structure. So let's just give an example, right? So here's a deal that I was actually looking at today, and it was a storage unit, and I sent over because what they were asking for and what the payments would be, it wouldn't make sense as an investment deal simply because the deal wouldn't cash flow. Like I wouldn't cash flow any money from it, right? And so what's the point of it with buying it? And it's a storage unit, so it's not like a home or anything. But let me grab this. So here are the specifics on this. So I looked at it a couple of different ways. So the storage unit, he's asking $275,000 for a storage unit. It has 23 bays in it. And they're all different. Like the profile is mixed, is different, so that he charges different rates for each bay, different types of bay. All right. And so the other thing is he gets about, after you do all of your expenses, he nets about $20,000 a year, right? So that's about $1,800 a month. Is what he nets. That's the income that he generates each month. With that, when I did the breakdown, I said, wow, like I wouldn't cash flow anything because all of my money is tied up in, all of my money would be tied up in the loan payment that I would have to get to do this, because the income doesn't make sense. And this is for an investment property. If you had a retail buyer that needed that situation, that was in that situation as well, you would look at it as, what is the current market rent rate in that area? If what they're paying to own a house is significantly higher than the actual rent rate, what's the benefit of them owning the property? What truly is the benefit of getting into that deal? Because they could just continue to wait and rent, right, until the interest rates come down. So that's the other talking point, that if you're not doing it as an investment, you're doing it as a retail. You want to look at, okay, I get that I can go and rent out a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house for $2,000, or I can buy one, versus if I buy a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, but I have to pay $3,500, I would rather just rent the $2,000 one and I can leave when I want, and I'll just wait until the interest rate. So that's kind of the negotiation talk that you want to have. So when I ran my calculations on that, and I had like a 6% interest rate, because I start out with the market is, just around what the market is, just to see how good of a deal, how much of a win-win situation I can make this. So I started out at a 6% interest rate with a 15% down payment on the deal, right? And that's a down payment. And I amortize it over 30 years. So my payments will be as though they were for 30 years, but I put a 5-year balloon on it. I think interest rates will be lower by the end, because I want to give myself an opportunity to get a lower interest rate, because if I start high and I can still afford it, then that means that when I refinance, right, into a lower interest rate, then I can usually have some equity, or at least or lower my payments. Have equity plus a lower payment, so you're in a win-win situation when the market stabilizes itself. All right. So when I did that over a 15% down payment, so what I found is, when I did that 15% down payment, by the way, guys, is $41,000. So that's always a good thing when sellers see that, because typically that goes to the bank, right? When they know that at least that goes into their pocket, they always get a little bit excited for it. And then the other part won't be taxed over time. So they'll have this as capital gains, that's taxed, and then they can save on taxes for the rest, and they can have constant cash flow coming in at least for the next 36 months. So what my payment ended up being was $1,400. So that's just your loan payment. For investors, you still have taxes, insurance, it's just that PITI. So you still have all of these, the rest to pay, plus, maintenance. If you have someone on site, you have to pay staff. Like, it just wouldn't make sense, right? If it only generates this much in income and this is what your loan payment would be, that wouldn't make sense, right? So what I did first was I said, okay, well, let me go ahead and lower the interest rate. So I crept down to the interest rate and I went to a 4.25, right? And when I went to a 4.25, it gave me $1,149.91, which gives me just over about $500 in cash flow, which not bad. It gives you a little bit of wiggle room, but still, even with that, it puts you at a negative cap rate if you're going to look at cap rates. And this is for a whole nother different discussion. For cap rate, the cap rate is at a negative. It was like a -422. You want to always be in investment properties, especially in this market. You want to be in investment properties at about 8. 8 is healthy, 10 is better. So just to show you how an interest rate at just going down 1.75%, how much money you saved on payments. Let me give you a different scenario. Let's just go back and say that I wanted to pay more money down. Let's just say I want to do 20% down, but I'm gonna leave it at the 6% interest rate. So this was at with a 15. This is at 15% down payment. Which equals the 41, right? Versus it would be 31901 at a 6% interest rate, but the down payment, it was a 20% down payment of $55,000, right? So I had to give up about $14,000 just to go down, not even $100 in a payment. So that's why I say, try to adjust the interest rate first, because the interest that you have to pay on that money will significantly lower your payments versus paying more cash out of pocket. It just doesn't move the needle enough for you to get where you need to be. So If you're a realtor, especially a broker, you probably are like, what in the I don't like to learn about, I don't like to learn about the mortgage and the financing, but I would say when you get into deal structuring and coming up with terms, definitely go through your brokerage, make sure that you have the right paperwork. But these are some ways that you can create a solution. Or if you don't want to do it, I'm pretty sure that there are companies that offer owner financing deals and you can bring your buyers into these type of situations. But you still want to understand how all of this works so that you can give your buyers the best representation. And with all this being said, if you're looking to reclaim your time, make more money, and lock up more real estate sales and streamline everything, you need to grab my course on how to make 6 figures in real estate with just one client. This is where I guarantee you that I can help you scale your real estate business. You'll learn the business model, the step-by-step process, and you'll get access to my legal kit and my scripts, email scripts and text messaging scripts. Also, this is everything you'll need to guarantee your growth in the next 90 days. If you don't grow, I'm going to give you your money back. No questions asked. If you're interested, go to the link in the description. This is the same process that I used in order to generate over $80 million in sales for a builder. If you want to take advantage of this opportunity and you want to create generational wealth, all right, no one, and I mean no one, has ever offered this type of course for agents and builders. A course that teaches you how to work with builders, how to work with serial investors, because most agents or even brokers don't even understand this world, and I do. So if you're interested, click the link in the description. If not, I strongly suggest you check out the next 2 videos. They're going to be the videos that YouTube suggests that you watch next. Thank you so much for your time. Talk soon.